let me tell you something. When you have a quarterback guru around you, I've talked to Steve Young about this numerous times. Steve and I, again, like I told you, I played high school football against him when he was at Greenwich, Connecticut, and I was at Stanford Catholic. And Steve was this great runner. But when he got to Tampa, they didn't know what to do with him. When he came in there from the USFL, they had no idea what to do with him. Walsh gets a hold of him, turns him into a West Coast dual threat guy. Guy led the NFL 4 or 5 years in a row in completion percentage. Was a force. We used to say this, man, I hope Montana's not hurt. Because that dude was an absolute force. A force. One of the privileges that I get to have is to talk to people like Bruce Arians. And I got to tell you, since our show is based in Philly, you all know this. Bruce has some Philly and Temple ties. We bring him on here now here on the National Football Show. Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Doing, Sills. How you doing, buddy?
All good, man. I mean, Coach, we're based in Philly, and all the people are like, Sills, this guy's Jersey, and he's Temple. He started all of it here. And if I'm not mistaken, Coach, did you go from Temple to Coach Bryant, or did you go from Coach Bryant to Temple?
Coach Bryant to Temple. Yeah.
Coach Bryant to Temple.
Yeah. I was 30 and thought I knew everything. I didn't know shit.
hey, Coach, real quick on Coach Bryant. So he calls me up, and he comes up in that big Lincoln where he used to recruit. So he's recruiting me up in the Connecticut area. Shows up in my grandpa's driveway in this big Lincoln. And I go like this. I go, Coach, I mean, how many Italian restaurants do you have in Tuscaloosa? He goes like this. He goes, we got one. I go, how many times you ever had on Johnny Musso? Come on, man. He sent me a letter, Coach, that said, good luck to you, man. I'll see you on Sundays. And my pop always loved him, man. But that's my Alabama Bear Bryant story. And I still got that card at home.
Yeah, man, it's special. When he came to your house, that was special, bro.
He came there, man. He really did. Coach, do you miss it?
No.
Oh, how about this? Coach, do you miss Sundays? Or do you miss Monday through Saturday? Or is it reversed? Do you miss being on the sidelines?
I miss being on the sideline. The press box sucks, but, I got so lucky. I got 12 games to practice to become a head coach when Chuck got sick. And this year I got 16 games to learn how to retire, because I got to go to practice. I go to the games. After the New Orleans fiasco, I couldn't be on the sidelines no more. So I had to go in the press box. And that was the hardest part, because the referees couldn't hear me cuss them out up there.
Coach, here, take me to Byron Leftwich, who I have a lot of respect for, and I know you do too. You're the guy that pushed him into coaching. And, and Todd Bowles getting the head job. As a Buccaneer guy, Coach, it just seemed to me, and correct me if I'm wrong here, it didn't seem as organized as when you were kind of the buffer between everything that was going on between Tom, Todd, and Byron. You were kind of like the traffic cop, and it just seemed a little bit that it was missing that touch, that little thing that I think that head coaches develop into. Am I wrong when I say that?
Well, I think so. It's a big thing, Danny. It's just probably different philosophies. Todd's got to be Todd, and his philosophy is different than mine as far as being a head coach and the offense he's looking for. He's more of a defensive guy, wants to run the ball. We were more, let's score 30 points and see if we can hang on and win. Not putting our defense in any problems, but so it's just a philosophical change. And I gave the thing to Todd, and I'm trusting him with it, and I think he'll do a hell of a job. Byron's going to be fine. He's one of the top premier coaches in this league, and he'll find his way, and he should be a head coach real soon.
Coach, I'm going to say something here because I said this. Someone brought up, to me, they go, hey, Tom got divorced and he's going through, and I went like this, and Coach, no disrespect, but I said this, I don't give a shit about that. I could care less about that stuff. This is about winning ball games and Sundays. We all got personal problems, and we got to put that stuff aside. Now, again, I'm talking to you, Coach, like I would be in your locker room and one of your players, but it just seems that the outside media made all these excuses here. And again, his resume is legendary, and I'm not really taking a shot at him, but I think that noise played a factor in the Buccaneers' success, because that's the first time I ever saw him. It just seemed distracted. And I think it distracted everything that you guys were trying to accomplish. Am I wrong?
Oh, I think you're totally right. Totally right. And I think, what Tom went through was hard, boy. I mean, because it was so sudden. And he's in camp, he's ready to roll, all of a sudden, boom. Um, that comes out of nowhere. And I got to applaud him, man. He did a hell of a job of, he lost weight. It was eating him up. But he hung in there with his guys, and he had to take the little hiatus and get straightened out. But he fought through it the whole season, but it wasn't Tom Brady out there, in my opinion. You could see it every day. But near December, he started to come back around, being himself. And I thought we would have it fixed for the playoffs, and we just didn't have enough for Dallas.
Coach, did you have conversations with Tom? Did everybody kind of talk with him to kind of walk him through it? Because again, Coach, like you said, see, people don't understand when you're married to the NFL, it is totally the toughest divorce you'll ever have in your life. Your wife, your children, obviously, you have to departmentalize that stuff. But I told people this, my toughest divorce, and I've never been divorced, but I would imagine it's leaving football, man. I mean, it's the most impossible thing because you sacrifice your body, your mind, your soul, your time, your efforts. And it just seemed to me the personal divorce and then the career divorce, it just collided with one another, and it really kind of put the doom on the Bucs, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, they throw the injuries to the top leaders.
Yep.
Shaq Barrett, Ryan Jensen. It's one thing to lose players, but when you lose your leaders, and then Tom was angry all the time, because of what was going on, and so it was not an easy year. I was really proud of our guys. We hung in there, won our division. It wasn't pretty, but we won the division. We got in the playoffs, had a home game, and didn't have enough that night. And I look for the Bucs to reload here real quick.
Coach, what? I like Kyle Trask's journey. If I'm not mistaken, I heard Dan Mullen say he got one scholarship offer when he was at Florida, and he was kind of like Dak. He worked his way into being a premier guy, and his work ethic. And look, if I got a teacher and I'm going to college and I want to have a professor, and my professor's Tom Brady and Bruce Arians, and I mean, that's pretty good to learn from and sit there. Do you have high expectations for Kyle, or will you guys take a look also at free agency and end of the draft maybe?
Yeah, I mean, you have to do your due diligence. I mean, you got to look. 3 years ago, who would ever thought Tom Brady was behind door number 2? We like Jameis. We just had to do our due diligence. This year's the same thing. Jason and Spy and the guys will be going through, who really is becoming a free agent, who's not getting tagged, see what's available, what's best for the Bucs. But I think we're in good hands with Kyle. He has impressed me in the last 2 years. He's a workaholic, and he's talented enough. There's no doubt about it.
Coach, one thing about Tom and his issues, but man, that injury bug, that had to be one of the most devastating injury teams that I've seen in the last 20 years. I mean, it seemed like the entire old line got knocked out of there, starting with the center. Jensen gets knocked out. Then it goes all the way down to your tackles. I mean, your secondary got beat up. That played a lot into it too, didn't it?
It really did. I mean, and like I said, it's not just, when you're talking about losing your leaders and your veterans, it's not like, hey, this rookie just got hurt. Well, we weren't counting on him anyway, plug in another guy. But when you start losing guys who get at least 15 votes for captain, that's the type of guys I'm talking about. That when you start losing those guys for a long period of time, and they're not in the locker room, they're not in the meetings, you lose that leadership. It hurts. It hurts a bunch.
Coach, I want to ask you some questions about dual threat. I had Coach Johnson on the other day, Jimmy Johnson, and we were talking about it. A guy like Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, these guys don't have high shelves. And you're prototypical. You've worked with some of the best. You had Luck and you had Roethlisberger, Brady, all these great players that you've had. Not really too much dual threat dudes. Do you think you can build a roster around a guy who's going to miss time, no matter what you say? Even Josh Allen, if they don't rectify that running game up in Buffalo and have him have limited runs, you're looking for Andrew Luck kind of stuff here. Andrew only played 7 years. Can you build your team around a guy who relies on dual threat, running the ball and also throwing the ball?
I think you have to have two. So that you can build the same offense. I think the dual threat is something that's here to stay. There's no doubt with the success that the guys are having. But like you said, that backup better be a hell of a player, and he better fit that system. You can't have to switch systems. You know what I mean? I can't
Yeah.
have a dual threat and a drop back passer. I got to have somebody else who can move around and continue. The offensive line's got to know where your quarterback's at, and if he's a scrambler, they got to know how you got to let go. Guy starts going. You just learn how to block that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the Justin Fieldses, the Jalen Hurtses, the Kyler Murrays, those guys, that's what's coming out of college now. So this year is maybe a better year than it's been in a while for quarterbacks, but they can all run. They're all athletes, and you see that coming out of high school. These kids are the best athletes that used to play basketball or whatever. They're all playing quarterback now.
Coach, I think this is why you had great success with quarterbacks, because you weren't a guy that went, and no disrespect, and I'm not going to throw any shade, because Ernie Zampese was spectacular in his play calling designs and all that, along with Don Coryell. However, when you came into the league during my time back in the 80s, these coordinators, and this is why I think you're seeing a lot of young coordinators, you tell me if I'm wrong, Coach, is that they build these boutique offenses around the skill set of these guys nowadays. Like, for instance, in Philadelphia, I mean, an RPO coach, the coordinator on the sideline almost has no say, because that's the decision-making of the quarterback, reading the end, reading the safety, reading the linebacker. If he keeps it, if he runs it, you're almost taking the coordinator. So for a guy like you, Coach, you've got to build the parameters and the framework of what the offense is going to look like, but you've got to have a lot of trust in that player coming into the league. And I guess you built equity up by winning. Is that what you're seeing more coming into the game today, and why you're seeing younger coordinators?
Yeah, I think, the college game is coming into the pros, and you're not going to stop it. I don't want some of those rules. I don't like their screen rules where blocking 8 yards downfield. I mean, stuff like that. But I think, yeah, the young coordinators, and that's a trend. It's a trend. I mean, Andy still wins it. Andy's not young, but Andy still wins it. None of the young guys beat Andy. Nobody beat me. So it's like, when we get there, us old guys don't know how to handle it. But yeah, I think it's a trend. And but I look at a guy like Byron. Byron was a classic quarterback. All right, but he understands the RPO system. He understands this stuff just like I do. It's running the triple option. You can go back to the wishbone. It's really audibles after the ball snapped.
It is.
And that's what the RPO system is. And I love it because I was an option quarterback. So I understand it. I love it. I wish we would have had it when I was playing. I might have completed a couple passes.
No, you know what? I tell people this, and I was telling you, I was talking to Coach Johnson the other day. I played against a guy by the name of Jamal Holloway, and I go, boy, if Jamal Holloway could throw the ball, that kid would have been in the Hall of Fame. I mean, because that guy could run, and they ran that bone down there at Oklahoma, and they had a guy in Keith Jackson. They never got him the ball. The guy was a superstar in the National Football League. By the way, real quick, Coach, a couple last questions for you. Andy Reid wins the Super Bowl. Did that kind of light a little fire into you a little bit there? The old guy's still winning it, coaching the young dudes. I don't know, Coach. I still think you got a lot left in you here.
No, I'm done, brother. I'm done. 70 was it for me. And I love the game. I love being around the guys. When you asked me earlier about Monday through Friday, Monday through Saturday, I miss that part being with the guys. But this year I got it. I got to go to practice and I go play golf. But I put my two.
Have your nighttime martini.
Oh yeah, or daytime too now.
Hey, Coach, I want to, because we're based in Philly. You saw Jalen Hurts in that first playoff game where the Bucs took the Eagles to the woodshed. And then from 30,000 feet, Coach, watching how he's progressed into being the player that he is right now, how impressed have you been with him?
Oh, super. But when you understand his work ethic, it was just a matter of, was his ability going to be able to sustain it? But you knew he's going to work for it, and he could sling it. So, yeah, I was so happy to see. And getting A.J. Brown helps. I mean, when you got Devontae and A.J., you just throw it out there somewhere, he's going to catch it. They're going to jump over somebody's head. But, no, to see Jalen, because when we got them behind in the playoffs 2 years ago, they struggled to come back throwing the ball. Now they're multidimensional. They can do it all now.
Coach, what do you make of the scrum rule that they're debating right now? Do you think they should outlaw that thing? Because I'll tell you what, I mean, the Eagles have to be like 1,000% on that thing, man. And they get that great O-line they have, which I think is the best O-line in the NFL. And, Coach, now you got people in Dallas crying and screaming about it. Your thoughts on it? You think they should outlaw that thing?
I think they should outlaw pushing the runner. You can't pull him, but I would outlaw pushing. Now, as everybody getting down and root hogging the D lineman's legs out of him, that's okay, because that's just straight ahead blocking. And it's not really a cut block because everybody's just going straight ahead. But the pushing of the ball carrier, I'd like to see something about that. Yeah, something done about that.
Well, Coach, because you came on today, man, I'm going to make a reservation for you at Burns's. You just got to let me know where you got to go because those are my boys. They got a picture of Big Sills on the wall. Malio's, I don't know if you're that connected down there. I could send you over to the Columbia, too, over in Ybor, bud. I know you probably partaked at all these places here, but you let me know the day you want to go, and I'm going to hook you up over at Burns's. Those guys always hook me up, man, because
that's awesome,
man, it's an honor to have you as my friend, and thank you for all the things that you've said and done for us here, and we really appreciate it, Coach. And I'm happy you're with the Bucs.
Oh, you bet, Danny. I'll be there forever, baby. Now that
you got it. Thank you, Coach. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You got it. The great Bruce Arians. I really appreciate him stepping in there with us. Do me a favor, guys. Please hit the